Hello, and welcome to day 38 of Dungeon 23. Yesterday we talked about swarms and how to use them. Today we're going to be making a room that we kind of already did before. Now, I talked about this a little bit with some people in my D&D group, and my idea was to have the gelatinous cube room from the first floor occur in every single level. The difference being that every time there's kind of like a weird thing wrong with it. And what that thing is, well, we'll get to it when we actually get to, that level. As for today, my plan is to just have the gelatinous cube as it was in the first floor. The only difference being that inside the gelatinous cube, there's some treasure. So let's actually sketch out the room really quickly. And then in the center, we'll just put the similar thing we did before. Big gelatinous cube. Now, what are we going to put in it? Let's actually try something here. Let's see here. Let's add this to token layer. Edit. Oh. I did not want to delete that. Huh. There should be a way to annotate this. That's annoying. Alright, we're just gonna have to do it the old-fashioned way. I was really hoping there's a way we could just like have it click on it and then we could see what's in it, but we'd have to make a sprite, and I don't feel like making a sprite for a gelatinous cube, which is basically just a green cube. So what are we gonna have in this? First, let's actually set this to the proper layer. So I want to have let's zoom in here. Gel cube contains let's do 2d6 arrows. Do 3d4 silver piece. Let's do silver pieces. And reaching into it is going to be quite difficult. So maybe we should give him some kind of magic item. I'm thinking a helmet of some kind. How about instead we give him a potion? I think a potion of healing. Yeah, a potion of healing would be pretty good. Take more damage than they get out of it. But if if someone has mage hand, or if they use like a stick, I think clever they can maybe get something out of it. Maybe let's bump this to gold pieces, so it's a bit more worth it. I really like the idea of there being a magic helmet floating in a gelatinous cube, but maybe we'll put that in the next one. Is this enough? Let me take a quick look at the stat block for the gelatinous cube, and then we'll see if this is worth it. Yeah, so for 66 damage being a possibility, they're gonna need something pretty special. So, how about instead of a helm, here's an idea. Let's give them an enduring. So, if you don't know what a enduring spellbook is, it is basically a spell book that is more resistant to normal damage. For example, it doesn't come up very often, but it will come up in this dungeon because it's, a dungeon. If your wizard falls into acid or gets set on fire or gets stuck underwater, their spell book should get ruined. And that's why you get an enduring spell book, because the enduring spell book, that just doesn't happen. It survives damage of that nature, little damage. Now, it could be probably destroyed by someone purposefully seeking to destroy it, but unless you, crit fail a deck save from, a Beholder's Disintegrate beam, it's not going to get wiped. And it makes sense that this spellbook would be in this gelatinous cube. And I do want to give it the spell Absorb Elements. And let's also give it the spell. Let's give it Expeditious Retreat. So here is our little thing there. And obviously it is going to be very, very hard to get stuff out of the gelatinous cube because, it's very, very dangerous. It's a giant, basically, cube of acid that's actively trying to suck you in. Now, the saving grace being that it can't escape its basically pit. So you're not at any risk of it coming to get you unless you fall in or gets pushed in. The other thing being that because gelatinous cubes are technically, they're not invisible, but they're supposed to be very, very hard to see, and sometimes it gets forgotten. I like using that a lot for a bit where basically a party's walking through a dark tunnel and they see a skeleton up ahead just standing there. So one of the, either an archer will fire an arrow and the arrow will stop midair in front of it, or someone will run up and try to hit it with a sword or stab it, and they run headfirst into a gelatinous cube because it's not an animated skeleton. It's just a regular, mundane, dead person whose remains are floating inside of a gelatinous cube that is currently moving towards the party. And I might use that later in the dungeon. Maybe not, I don't know. But the point is that they're hard to see. So the party walking through here will see the floating objects, probably see that it is floating in acid, and they will try to acquire them through means that hopefully don't involve throwing the halfling in, or the gnome, or the goblin you dragged from the first level, Throwing the little guy in, the rogue. Or throwing the barbarian in because he's the highest constitution, he'll make the saves. Or the fighter or monk because they have the highest strength. Although the barbarian will also probably have very high strength. Or the wizard will get thrown in because it's his spell book they want, so Anyway, the important thing is that we got our gelatinous cube done for this dungeon. I actually believe it's in the same spot with the previous floor. Maybe it's on the other side, I don't know. I feel like this is where it was. It doesn't have to be in the same spot every time. The only thing is that it has to have a gelatinous cube on every floor because it's going to be fun. Just trust me. We'll get to it. It'll be fun. It's a good way of dispatching the wandering enemies because I do want to have at least one wandering enemy. I want to have one big wandering enemy and a few small wandering enemies. But for this floor, we're only going to have the blind hook horror running around. And then we could probably have a smaller guy run around if we think of anything. Anyway, so, yeah. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. And I apologize for the poor quality. It is not going to get any better.